Hey, happy Monday, everybody. Steven Andrus here for the lines.com, playpicks.com, getting ready to take you through John Hasselbauer's preview for the Charles Schwab Challenge, the first event after the PGA Championship. Bit of a heartbreaking week for us at the lines. I had Will Zalatoris on a live bet, also had Cam Young, who was in it at 100 to 1. John had Mito Pereira at 300 to 1. Not always going to be your week when we're talking about golf outrights. We're trying to pick one out of a field of 150, but to have some long shots finish that highly, it's another indication that the process is sound. We are going to continue to trust that process, and we are going to show you what matters most this week for the Charles Schwab Challenge. As always, you can go to the Lines homepage, click on John Hasselbauer's preview. If you are visiting the site later in the week and it's not in our top 4 slots, you can always find it under the odds tab, under golf, and under John Hasselbauer, you'll find the Charles Schwab preview. So some things to know coming into this tournament. We will look at both the key stats to know if you are using models to try and figure out which guys near the top of the board, which long shots to consider maybe in the derivative markets. John will also take you through in his article how the course sets up, what to know about Colonial Country Club here in the first event after the PGA Championship. First, we'll look at the favorites for this week. Top 5 players: Scotty Scheffler, Justin Thomas off that PGA Championship come from behind win. Jordan Spieth, Collin Morikawa, and Victor Hovland round out the top 5. Depending on where you shop, DK as of Monday had Justin Thomas as an 8 to 1 favorite, Scotty Scheffler as the favorite at the other big books. We'll get to Victor Hovland in just a little bit here. I am intrigued by that 20 to 1 number that is available. As always, in John's preview, you can find the introduction to the course and what matters most here. This is a shorter course than what you saw at the PGA Championship at Southern Hills. With that in mind, 7,200 yards overall. It is a par 70 like last week's event, just the 2 par 5s. The 4 par 3 set up at distances of less than 200 yards on 3 of them, but number 4 is 247 yards. The greens are bent grass. If you look at recent winners here, we are not talking about a total birdie fest. We have scores of 14 under for Jason Kokrak last year. Daniel Berger won this in 2020 at 15 under par. Kevin Na, 13 under par. So pretty fair course here. We don't have to worry about just chasing birdies. Might have a little bit more of an all-around profile. So course comps here. He's targeted Sedgefield Country Club as an option. You can read a little bit more about that, but what matters most to me, what stats matter most? Who do we want to look at here? What do we want to use to try and whittle down this field? And as always, the biggest preference for John and myself each and every week is strokes gained on approach. Who's got the best iron play? And in particular for this event, we want to also look at proximity to the hole from 125 to 200. Who's going to have the best iron play in that range to try and hit these greens in regulation? Going to look at par 4 scoring from 350 to 400, as well as 400 to 450. And the thing about Colonial, a lot of tree-lined fairways here, not as big and open as we saw at Southern Hills or at Augusta. Accuracy off the tee is going to matter in this particular event. So for me and my model personally, I'm going to have some combination of good drives gained and driving accuracy. For me, that'll be in the form of the statistic fairways gained. John's going to look at some strokes gained putting on bent grass. I don't necessarily like to use putting too much in the models. I care more about tee to green. But in this event, I am also going to look at bogey avoidance and double bogey avoidance, considering that it will be some fairly difficult conditions. Again, it's not a birdie fest. We should have a score in the teens here under par. So we want to avoid those mistakes. And overall, I'm also going to look at, for me, strokes gained ball striking. Who is hitting their irons crisply, cleanly at these distances that we care about, but also overall with their iron play for this 7,200 yard course. So last thing I'll mention before I highlight a couple of players that stood out to me in the early going here. John's correlated stats with strokes gained total. So the This event in particular, high correlation with strokes gained on par fours. Also, birdies are better gained. Tee to green. So just some of the stats that we mentioned there already. Strokes gained ball striking is in the top 6. Some things we care about less this week. Strokes gained par 5. There is only 2 par 5s. It is a par 70, so that makes sense. And strokes gained off the tee. That statistic weighs to some degree driving distance. Pretty clear that that doesn't matter as much this week with the shorter course. Some of the dog legs, the tree line fairways as well. So no surprise to see that strokes gained off the tee is a little less important this week. John's player spotlight this week is Webb Simpson. You can go to the article to read more about why Webb stood out to him in his early assessments here. But I'm going to go down here to our odds compare tool. And I am going to start with Victor Hovland at 20-1. Pretty solid number there for Vic, considering the strength of this field and only a handful of names that we typically see coming from the PGA Championship. And I might want to jump on that number a little bit early too, because typically with the event after a major championship, we might see some of these bigger names skip this event, and therefore Vic Hovland's odds, if he does play, go down. And if Vic happens to withdraw before Thursday, we get our money back on that bet regardless. So Vic Hovland was number 1 in the model that I put together here on Monday morning for last 50 rounds and also last 36 rounds. So he topped off on both of those time frames. So at 20-1, I am going to start my card with Vic Hovland, considering this is a course that I care a little bit less about around the green play, which has been his Achilles heel. It's what hurt him again last week at Southern Hills, but a little bit less important this week on the shorter course and with Vic's strong ball striking as well. One name that did not pop in the model, and it won't surprise you because he's not exactly known for driving accuracy. He's known for driving power. But if he does make his return, and he does play in this event, I have to, on principle, bet Bryson DeChambeau at 100-1 in a field that is much weaker than a major championship, which is the same price that we were getting on him last week if he did in fact play. Obviously, he wound up withdrawing and those bets were voided and refunded. But if he does happen to play in this event, and we don't know that now at this hour on Monday, 100-1 is too good of a number for, I could put lunch money on that and have a 4-figure payday. So we know Bryson DeChambeau is capable of having spike weeks where he is the best player in the field and his tee to green play with his distance just overpowers a course. This may not be the best fit for him with the tree line fairways, but at 100-1, I think that's worth at least a sprinkle. Another long shot here that stood out to me when I ran some numbers is a guy that we cashed on at Pebble Beach already this year. Again, another shorter course, emphasis on strong iron play and hitting smaller greens. Tom Hoge, 70-1, was playing pretty well until about the 2/3 through the way point. You know, somewhere in between round 3, the wheels fell off. But Tom Hoge at 70-1 is another guy that wound up in the top 10 of the initial run of the numbers and the projections for me this week. And another guy that I guarantee you John will have on his betting card for at least a first round leader. Let me find him down here. I think he's maybe a little even higher this week considering the strength of the field. There he is, Sebastian Munoz, another guy who over his last 36 rounds wound up in the top 10 for my rankings this week. 60-1 to win the tournament, are the best available numbers, 50-1 everywhere else. And yeah, probably a good, strong first round leader play there as well. Don't think there's any other names I'm going to highlight at the moment, but as always, you can always go to our Discord channel at thelines.com. In the top right-hand corner, you'll find the Discord symbol next to the Twitter logo. You can click there, join for free. Our staff are always sharing their golf outright cards, the bets that they're making. We've had a strong year so far. Multiple outrights cashed. me personally, 7 second place finishes on top of those 3 outrights. So right there from having just a magical season and no reason to doubt the process at this point. So feeling pretty confident, even though another close call in the PGA Championship came up just short, but a strong week for our staff as well in terms of the derivatives, the top 10s, the top 20 markets. And I lied. I'm going to tell you one more name that popped that was interesting to me for this tournament. Austin Smotherman, who I believe is in the 200-1 range here for this tournament. Let's see if we can find him here. Let me do a quick search. And let's see. Yeah, 200-1 at DraftKings, 150 to 171 elsewhere. I'm not saying he's going to win this tournament, but if you go to our prop finder tool on thelines.com under odds tab, you hit prop finder tool. You could search any golfer's name to find the best price for their props. This is an amazing tool if you're a golf bettor. So Austin Smotherman, we pop him up. We get his outright odds across all the books. You can see he's as high as 220-1 at FanDuel, 200 at DraftKings. But top 10 finish, 14-1. That's a pretty juicy price there. So for a guy who's sitting top 10 in the model I'm using this week over the last 36 rounds, that might be worth a little bit of a bet there as well to finish top 10. So hopefully this was helpful to you guys. Again, John will be back on the site Wednesday with his betting card for the Charles Schwab Challenge. We are sharing our ideas, not only our staff, but our loyal golf bettors as well that have joined that Discord. Where, it's a lot of fun. It really is just, sharing what we see, having discussions back and forth, trying to, hone in on what we want to bet each and every week on the PGA Tour. So thank you for watching this video. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments who you are thinking about betting on in the Charles Schwab Challenge. And best of luck with your bets this week for the golf betting. And if you're betting on the NBA playoffs and the NHL as well, good luck with that.